Okay, here we go. So I'd like to just welcome you guys. Thank you very much for joining me today. Welcome to the live geometric trading market outlook. Today is the 5th of April 2017. So you guys can hear me, yeah? I'm just trying to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. We have had quite a number of technical issues the other day with the speakers and things like that. Sorted it out, I think. So just want to make sure that you guys can hear me loud and clear. Okay, so before anything else, just a short, I know the disclaimer looks really long, but I'm going to read just the bold part. Forex and CFDs are leverage products and involve a high level of risk and can result in the loss of all your invested capital. Therefore, Forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors. You should not risk more than you are prepared to lose. Before deciding to trade, please ensure you understand the risk involved and take into account your level of experience. Seek independent advice if necessary. Okay? All right, that's it. So I'm just going to go on to the trading platform. Before that, just to go over the trend side of things. I've got no reply on you guys hearing me okay, so I would just take it that you guys can hear me loud and clear, yeah? We've got no technical issues, so that's good. Okay, so we'll go into the top movers first. I mean, we have had quite a number of questions about how does this all work with picking the best pair for yourself to trade. I mean, it's probably best to also ride along the trend like how the big boys, the banks, hedge funds, institutional traders do. And that is usually guided by how they move the market. The big boys move the market. So when they move the market, they've got transactions made on the institutional side of things, and that does actually gets reflected in various ways. One of it is, you know, through little tools like this, where you've got top 10 movers. Let's say you've got bank reports as well, concentrating on that specific type of pairs. So that these are just reasons. So I like using Action Forex here. So we've got top 10, and you can then see that you've got quite a number. I mean, it changes as well. Loud and clear. Brilliant, Henny. Thank you very much for that. Thank you for confirming. So there we go. So this would actually be a very big important tip for you guys. When you pick the pair, you are riding along the trend that not only the trend but the volatility, sorry, and liquidity level that has been created by these big boys. So usually you've got a clarity of trend, you know, that would be created by the big boys themselves. So, like for example, you've got a top 10 here, and then we're looking into Euro AUD, Euro NZD, and as you can see, as you go to the top three itself, you've got that indication that the focus of investors are onto Euro, but on the buying side. Okay, because you get Euro AUD on the positive side, as you can see, 0.67%, and you can see that the Euro AUD is leading the way. I'm not saying that because it's leading the way, you just go onto it and trade. No, that's not what I said. It's got a lot of risk in doing that. Okay, so we are just looking at sentiments of the market. Where are investors driving their interest to be on which pair, on which currency, on the upside or downside? So here you can see that the euro is on the upside, and as you can see on the right side of that table, you've got a 4-hour, daily, weekly, and monthly. They are all showing an interest on the Euro AUD on the buy side on all time frames as well. So this is a good indication that the Euro AUD is one of the pairs that they're paying a lot of attention to the upside. And if you look into correlations with the Euro AUD, you can then find more pairs, more major pairs as well. Okay. So it gives you a better indication, and then we go on to looking at fundamentals, news, and economic data that may then confirm the direction of that pair. And once you've done that, you further confirm with the patterns. Okay, so just an indication there, because we've got quite a number of questions last week as well about the top 10 movers in picking pairs. So I just thought I'll give you a bit of an indication just to go through with you what I do every day for quite a number of years now in picking the pairs, and I do that by firstly understanding the sentiments and the trend of that pair. So here another website is the livecharts.co.uk. Just would like to let you guys know that we are at Blackwell, especially we are working on some very special tools, interesting tools for you to do all these things that I'm showing you on different websites. You could then very well do it all at one place at the Blackwell Academy website. Okay, the Blackwell website in the education's side of it. So it's going to be launching very soon by next week, and you should be able to go onto the site and be able to use these tools, and we don't need to go to different sites anymore. Okay, that will then give you an idea of what best pairs that have been moved by the big boys and all the things that we're doing. It can be encapsulated, summarized in one place at the Blackwell Global website. Okay, that will then help you guys as traders as well to understand the sentiments and pick the pairs better. Okay, so here, for example, we've got the AUD still looking like it's the weakest one, and then you've got the euro still on the upside there. Okay, and make sure if you guys are on this website, click onto F5 as as many times as you can, not consecutively, of course, but as you want to refresh it. Okay, so because it is quite real time in a way for this site, and the same goes for Forex market map here that's offered by barcharts.com. And here, for example, you could easily look at the green ones here, the green bars. You can see the top 3 highest bars is showing you the top 3 strongest currency to the upside, and that's the euro, the CHF, and the GBP. So that euro here being the strongest one is actually mirroring what you can see here as well on livecharts.co.uk. Okay, so that's a good match. And then if you see AUD, JPY, USD, that's the 3 weakest currency here. And if you look into that, just to confirm again, you can see that the AUD is definitely the weakest one there. So you've got Euro AUD being the one that coincidentally be the one that has been the top one, the top one amongst the top 10 movers as well, moved by the investors. So Euro AUD is definitely something that we would like to look into opportunities for, and then you want to look into the FX Street or the economic calendar anywhere to look into whether you've got pending data. Okay, so here we go. Now I want to go on to the AUD USD first, because that's the one we've been following very closely in terms of patterns that we have had quite a number of it. It's also posing some opportunities there on the selling side. So that is actually has been giving loads of selling opportunities, and we want to look into patterns at this moment of time, so that it's a bit of a practice as well for you guys on the pattern side of things as well as the trend. So let's just clear all that, and I'll give you an indication of what I've drawn and sent to you guys on Telegram group. Okay, so here, for example, just this chart itself on the 4-hour is looking like it's giving you hints of the downside. It's got it quite strong to the downside with dominance by all these bearish candles, as you can see. And the other thing is that these candles are under all 3 lines. So they're under all 3 lines, giving you a bearish sentiment. And as you go onto the 1-hour chart, let's just go to the very end, you can see that that is mirrored very well with the 4-hour chart as well. The 1-hour chart and the 4-hour chart sort of matched very nicely, okay, because of the trend side of things as well. You've got lots of lower highs, lower lows as well. Now if we minimize that, you could see that very nice angle that the market is trending to as well. It's on a very sharp 5 o'clock-ish angle. Okay, that's a good sign for us to consider it to the bearish side of things. Okay, and then as we move on to the daily chart, just as a confirmation on the trend side of things, to look into the candles, whether or not they're under all 3 lines, and this one here is showing the same, and the dominance are by very strong candles as well. For those of you guys who are more familiar than me with candles, you can always add up that strategy or that knowledge of yours about candlesticks as well onto the geometric trading method. So it's always welcome to look into your current strategies that you are familiar with, and combine that so as to sharpen this analysis of yours onto any time frames, any instruments as well. Okay, so here we've got a nice indication of a downward type momentum or trend compared across the 1-hour, the 4-hour, and the daily chart, which is good news. So let's go back onto the 4-hour chart. I would like you guys to look into practicing the combination of different patterns confirming the direction. What I mean by that is that you might look into an analysis that I've sent onto Telegram and it's a big pattern. And as I've mentioned many times in the past, and I'll keep mentioning that, is that when you look into a big pattern, that big pattern is always made up of very small patterns showing you the same direction. Okay, so here, for example, you've got a potential ABCD that was drawn last week, a bigger ABCD pattern that's progressing really, really well. Okay, and that pattern has been more and more successful, mainly because you have got the C point basically touch the moving averages as well, and that's always a very good sign. And the baby patterns, the baby ABCD patterns, usually if the C points as well touches the moving averages, that just confirms that movement. Okay, it confirms, it heightens the probability and lowers the risk of driving the price to that direction that you are looking at. Okay, or towards the direction of the trend or the current dominating trend. Okay, so here, for example, if I pull that all the way down here, this is exactly what we've drawn the first time. That was perhaps about a week and a half ago. Okay, and that was what we were looking at, is the potential of an ABCD pattern looking like that. Okay, so that was what we drew the last week. Okay, and I think it was just around here, and it hasn't really materialized that much until you see more ABCD pattern that has been what do you call that, formed in within that bigger ABCD pattern. But I'm just going to draw that for practice purposes for you guys, and you can always do that. I'll include a video as well to show you multiple patterns. Multiple patterns in within a big pattern is usually a great thing, because it confirms that big pattern, number one. But secondly, and the most important one, is that it gives you that more opportunities in entering the market with the same direction, but having multiple patterns to trade on. So that's the wonders and the beauty of trading patterns, is when you are looking at a bigger time frame, but then you are trading on a lower time frame based on the little or the smaller ABCD patterns in within that big pattern. So let's just look into what I'm talking about here. If I change the color now, this one here, just so that you can differentiate between the patterns as well, is that as we were trading, now I'll just once we've converted the ABCD into a geometric ABCD, then you've got your centroid area here as normal, yeah, and that centroid area has marked that area there as a potential trading area. So under that area will then give you a hint of more strength to build up to the downside. Okay, so as we go on, I mean, you've got a bit of a correction as prices came down here, and then you have seen you've got prices going up there and then coming down. So you've got another ABCD here as well. So this one is quite a clear one here. Okay, so you've got an ABCD there, and then you've got another one here. So you could easily trade that one as well here, because it's in within that C to D leg, but it confirms your direction to the downside, and you could always, you may have that one trade open based on that huge ABCD red one. And that red one, you could easily see that as a longer term one, okay? Because then you're looking at smaller pattern would then materialize faster, bigger pattern would take longer, and bigger pattern that you have seen on a longer time frame, like a 4-hour chart, could easily take some time, and that could take anywhere between a couple of days to about a week, but on average between 1 to 2 weeks, and that is an average for the 4-hour type chart, okay, for it to materialize. So you would need to always look at that, to look at equity as well, whether or not your equity would match up with the time frame that you have chosen. Okay, so don't pick out time frame just like that. I mean, because you've got a friend who's trading that time frame is doing really well, so you pick that time frame as well to apply your strategies on. That wouldn't be a very risk-averse style of trading, because it's probably best for you to always make that a personal choice based on your personal reasons, especially your equity. So if your equity is small, you're looking into small time frames. works. Okay, it's just as simple as that. Okay, we'll keep it simple. So here, for example, you've got a yellow time frame right there, sorry, yellow pattern right there, and you can see that you've got smaller pattern. That's your that's another what do you call that, opportunity there that you can actually base your trades on. Okay, so I'm just going to color that. So this is just for educational purposes, so you get an idea of what I mean by multiple patterns within a big pattern. And within a big pattern, it's always good for you to also look into shorter time frames like this and look into opportunities. I mean, you've got confirmation. I wouldn't say confirmation per se, because confirmation can actually mean different things to different people, and it shouldn't be seen as assurance or certainty. It is a game of probability, so we want to look at it from an angle of probability. So here we want to look at how much you could be looking at as well on a shorter time frame, like a 15-minute chart. You've got that yellow pattern there, and that could be easily another pattern that you are trading based on a 15-minute chart, and you're looking into a centroid right there. So you're looking at trading anywhere in within that centroid area and below, right to that area there, and that itself on a 15-minute chart based on the yellow pattern itself, the yellow ABCD pattern is giving you an average of about 70 to 80 pips there. Okay, that's a probability. Okay, it's not a certainty, but as you go on to confirming the trend and looking at multiple what do you call that, patterns, confirming that big pattern, your probability increases and your what do you call that, risk reduces. So that's why we want to always confirm, keep on confirming what you can actually gather, like puzzle pieces, to confirm the trend. Okay, so that's just on the AUD USD, because I know quite a number of you guys have actually ridden on that trend, and would like to congratulate you guys for those who have ridden it really well from the beginning of the big red ABCD pattern as well, and now you guys are taking the riding along these smaller patterns as well on smaller time frame, and that's just brilliant. Okay, it's good to hear that. So as we move along, let's just move along on the from AUD USD. Let's go on to the major, the most traded currency pair, Euro versus the USD. We are on the 4-hour chart at this moment of time. Let's look at what's going on. Just a little bit about the Eurozone at this moment of time. We have had the debate, I think, yesterday. We have had quite a number of positivism from the Eurozone, okay? Not only from Macron on the financial, on France's election side of things, but we've also got very positive data for Italy, and then I think we've got some positive data for the UK as well. So it has sort of pushed it to the upside more. But let's look into the technical aspects from patterns as well as trend onto the MT4 at this moment of time. Let's look at what we can gather in terms of hints on what should we be riding on, okay, on which direction. So here, for example, as we move on to the 1-hour chart, or on the 1-hour chart at this moment of time, you could see that let's look into the angle itself. The angle itself, it is actually giving us a hint to the upside. It has actually, prices have actually pushed upwards or bounced off from the 200 moving average here, okay, which actually means that the 200 moving average managed to sort of block it and just made it bounce upwards. So that's a good bounce off the 200 moving average, is giving you sentiments to the upside, okay, on the 1-hour chart. I'll just get rid of these purple lines, and as we zoom in a little bit, just look at the behavior of candles itself. If you could notice, is that you've got this big push from the 200, very close to the 200 exponential moving average itself, has pushed prices all the way up there, and now it's looking like it's correcting. Now that correction downwards is looking at some challenges to the downside made up by the 3 moving average. So very easily the movements at this moment of time for Euro USD could find some support at either one of these lines as well, potentially. But always, as always, I would emphasize on the current price in terms of price action psychological number itself. The Euro USD 1-hour chart is trading at 1.0920, and that is bang on the psychological level, okay, on the psychological numbers itself. So if you're looking into more room to the downside, then you would like to, it's probably best or wiser for you to look into whether or not prices would go under the 20 area to give it more momentum. But under the 20 would also give you a major psychological number of 1.0900 as well. So that would be an area to watch out for, are these two levels, which are the 1.0920 and 1.0900. The question to ask is whether or not prices manages to go under the 20 and under the 00. If it does, that means that the momentum may have picked up to the downside. That means more bears or sellers have actually participated in that. Now, once you've seen that, then you would then need to look to the left. And when you look to the left, you want to look at whether or not you've got any significant support area as well. Now, let's say an example, okay? An example, a scenario. If you see prices here, for example, manages to just trudge along and depreciate further, okay? And then it finds, let's say, challenges at this area here, because you've got this area here, this area here, and this area here marked by these three exponential moving averages. Okay, so let's say you're looking into that area here. You could always look to your left and look at significant support area. Now, within these three areas I've drawn based on the three exponential moving average itself, you could see that you've got an area here, you've got some support here, you've got support here as well, and then lower in this area you've got something here as well. So as you can see, you've got prices picked up like stairs going upwards there, and these are significant support area. Now, one of the most significant one is this one here, because it has actually pushed all the way upwards, okay? And that push upwards with these area here being support is quite significant to the upside, because you look at the power of candles itself. It was pushed up by long bullish candles with lots of power as well. So that's a significant move upwards. Okay, you've got that push upwards. So these are things that you need to look at. Now let's just move on to the 4-hour chart and look at whether or not we get some sort of a hint of what the Euro USD may be planning to do. Okay, so let's just look at that. Now here the angle itself, as I've mentioned, it's correcting very well, and it's you know, to the upside. And as we go on to the 4-hour chart, if you could notice the movement itself, or the angle of the clock, have just improved or became slightly steeper. Okay, so if I show it to you on the 1-hour chart, and then you compare it to the 4-hour chart, you could see that that angle just got steeper. Okay, maybe it was, you know, sort of closer to the 2 o'clock angle on the 1-hour chart. As you move on to the 4-hour chart, you've got the angle, you know, probably have gone onto the one hour type angle, okay, or the 1 o'clock type angle, sorry. So as you go into the daily chart, you could see that that pickup it's still continuing, and you've got that nice movement of higher lows as well and higher highs, okay. But the other thing as well is to always look out for you know, things that would catch your eye. For example, just as an observation here, we have got this gap going on here, correct? That's on the daily chart here. As you go onto the 4-hour chart, let's see, you've got that gap here. Now, it's just based on theory that most of the time, I mean, most on previous performance as well, I mean, previous trades I've seen many times, you guys probably have as well, that gaps, you know, most often would be closed out, but the question is a matter of time on when would it be then closed up. So there may be a threat or a risk of prices depreciating further to close up that gap and then find that momentum to the upside. Okay, potentially. Okay, it's a game of probability, so that's always potentially could happen. Now, the other thing as well is, as we go on and we look onto how prices or candles have actually behaved, you can see that that big push upwards was indeed a strong one. Okay, a strong push upwards. The bullish momentum was, and created a gap in the market as well, but then it sprung from the three moving averages there, which is always a very big sign and a very good sign for you to know that if at all it has actually bounced off from either one of the moving averages, is always a good sign. So that needs to always be put into your mind as well, because when you trade patterns, the ABCD pattern, especially the C point, when it touches or it bounces up from either bounces up or bounces off and then come downwards from either one of the moving averages, that's always a good sign. Okay, so this is always something that I've been using for a very long time. So here itself, let's look at what's going on here. Now, some may say that, okay, could this actually be a bit of a cup handle pattern going on here? Yes and no. It may look like a potential cup-like in terms of its shape right there, but then in terms of how it has actually sprung on, moving upwards, it's just higher this end compared to this end. Usually it needs to move downwards once it reaches the mouth of the cup area here, but then it looks like it's finding more room to the upside. Okay, so what if we look into lower time frames and get a bit of a story on the Euro USD? Okay, so here, for example, you're looking at a bit of confusion zone that prices is trading into at this moment of time for Euro USD on a 5-minute chart. Okay, as it goes in within the 3 lines as well. Okay, and then it's starting to bounce off there, as you can see. Now it bounces off at very close to the resistant area here. So as I've mentioned many times, a resistant equals to support as well. So that may actually be happening there because you've got all this resistant area here. Okay, this one here as well. And as we go on, it's really clear that you've got quite a number of resistance area there as well, especially this one here. Okay, and also here. So that's on the 5-minute chart. As we move on to the 15-minute chart, you could see that this is exactly what's going on. You've got a bit of a corrective possibility going on here. But let's look into the price again. 1.0923. It's gone above that 20 psychological level there. But then it's a bit wishy-washy at this moment of time. It's not giving you that clarity of trend and its intentions of moving upwards. Okay, at this stage. So it's probably just marinating that time. So let's look into the daily. So this is the 1-hour chart right there, and go on to the 4-hour chart right there. What I'm doing now is I'm looking into whether I've got hints of bounce off from a pattern like an ABCD pattern to the upside, let's say, because here is giving me hints to the upside. And then as we go into the daily chart, again, it has actually gone above all 3 lines and giving me that further hint that there may be a possibility. Okay, so here, let's say we're looking into, this is what I see most traders do, is that they, talking about the patterns, trading patterns, yeah, and if at all you're looking at geometric pattern, I see a lot of traders, they do this. They could see it clearly, they can now spot very well using their eyes, and that's a very good skill to have, okay, is when you, I mean, with practice, once you can spot patterns, ABCD, that's well and good. But always confirm. Look into the behavior of the candles, whether or not, especially the C point here, has it actually bounced off from either one of the lines. If it hasn't, then it's actually, it may lower your probability. It may still happen, which it did in this example here, this ABCD, let's say this is your A, and then you've got your B right here, you got your C, and then your D indeed had happened maybe, and then you've got that very nice movement upwards. But it's just a matter of whether you as a trader would willingly want to take that risk, and that should entirely be yours to take. Okay, so you would need to take responsibility in that. But for me as a conservative trader, I would prefer to trade, let's say if I see that C point really have actually touched onto the 3 lines, because you can never tell the results, you know, the outcome of what you have actually analyzed. Okay, so it's again, as mentioned, it's a probability game. So the C point, once it has actually found that bounce off from either one of the line, it's a better or higher probability compared to when it has not. Like this one here is just hanging in the middle here, has not found support at any one of these exponential moving averages. Okay, So this is just a bit of a hint. Now at this stage, you could see that you may have another one here, A, B, and then potentially C. The problem with that is I just see that the C is just there. Now we have got what you call that positivity building up. So that is the reason why the market, especially for the euro versus the dollar, is reacting really well to that positivism, okay, which is a very good sign. But for us traders, if you're looking into an opportunity, then you want that opportunity to give you a bit of a hint of higher probability and lower risk, okay. So you may find that visually as an opportunity, but that visual opportunity that you have spotted may not be high in probability. So the reason why I'm talking about probability and the risk is because this will then govern, help you govern your pips. Because the thing about it is very simple. We have got because it's a game of probability as well. You want to keep the losing trades at bay or at lowest as possible, okay, and it does actually depend on how you are managing these trades. So if you're managing these trades, spotting these trades based on risk and being very highly risk averse, okay, at the same time conscientious, meaning that you are also knowing a structure that you follow, rules that you follow, then you could come up with better trades, better quality type trades. Because sometimes traders come to me and say that, okay, I've spot that pattern, that looks really nice. Now, looking really nice may not feel very nice once you've traded it if the probability is low and the risk is really high. Okay, so visually is one. It may only be part of the process for you to visually spot it, but you would need to then put it as part of a plan to checklist it and make it high probability, low risk. Okay, so just a bit of a hint there, guys, for you guys there. All right, so let's move on a little bit. Now, here itself, hence the reason I'm not drawing that pattern at this stage for the Euro USD on a daily chart, because I don't see that nice bounce from either one of that moving averages as well, okay? What about 5 minutes chart? Do we actually find anything there? You've got something right there. May give you a bit of an idea. If at all you find that, yes, the C point has actually hit either one of the line and bouncing off from it, then the next question is whether or not that C point is at a minimum of 38.2%. Okay, of Fibonacci, right? 38.2% of the A to B. So if your A is here, and then you want to consider this as an A, B, C, and then you're projecting to the D side, yeah, or you're looking into where the D might go, then you would need to pull your Fibonacci like this from A to B and make sure that your C point would be a minimum of 38.2. Now, at this stage, I may not consider this as a potential ABCD pattern only because my C point has not actually, touched the 38.2% at least to the minimum. Okay, so sometimes I can be quite strict. Most traders, there are some traders out there who would like to consider this still because in their logic it is quite close to 38.2. You could, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's all a game of probability. It's an option of probability. It's not really a game. Okay, it's how you actually look into it as a probability. So here, for example, I would consider this a higher probability of an ABCD pattern if the C point touches at least 38.2%. Now, if at all you've got another option, let's say of a low like this one here, you can always adjust that all the way up here, and then you could see that this is now a minimum. Okay, it has gone past that minimum 38.2 and now it's sitting at the 70.7 or the 61.8 you can consider. Then you can actually use this one here instead, this low instead of this one here as a potential A, B, C to the way up. It is potential. Okay, so you can do that as well. So as I go on and do that all the way up here, then you've got it there at 70.7, let's say. So your C is at 70.7. Okay, so that's okay. Now we then look into all the way up there. Okay, look at AB equals CD first. Okay, all the way up there, and you can always mark this area there as your potential D area. Okay, go up all the way like that. Okay, and all the way down, and then convert that ABCD pattern into a geometric pattern like such. I think it would mirror one of the patterns that was sent by Henny. I think Henny, it could actually mirror something you've sent on a different time frame, but it looked something like this with a ABCD at the top, and then I think I've mentioned to you that we could look into A, B, C, but that was because the C point was a minimum of 38.2, which was okay to consider that lower end. But here we cannot do that here because that C didn't really reach, didn't manage to bounce off from 38.2. It was less than 38.2%. Okay, so here as we do it this way, we mark the centroid area. So that centroid area managed to be at the let me just do that properly, 0.928. So 28 is your close to your 20 psychological number. So we would like price to appreciate further. So because here it's itself in the 5-minute chart, you can see that, I mean, on the live market itself, it has literally found resistance there at the centroid area. Now the centroid area is really a very nice area to study deeper because it somehow automatically, as we mark that centroid, always marks, or most often marks, a significant support resistant area as well, as you can see automatically, almost always. Okay, it does that. So here you can see how prices have actually respected it really well. That big fall found resistance all the way down at that centroid area. So hence the reason when we look into a pattern like this, a centroid area is your potential trading area, PTA. Okay, now that potential trading area, meaning that if you are looking into an appreciation of price, a potential appreciation of price, then you want prices to go above that centroid area. Why an appreciation of price? Because this is a bullish pattern. Bullish pattern, you are aiming at the upside. Bearish pattern, you're aiming at the downside. Now your aim of this bullish pattern is at this area here at 1.0947, let's say. Okay, so 1.0947 is just too close to the 0.950 area. So I'll just adjust and tweak that to this number instead, which is 1.0940. That's 10 pips below that 0.950 psychological number. Okay, so these are areas that you could call it exit area, potential reversal area at the 1.0940 area. Now, trading area based on the centroid area, if at all, let's say, for example, you are wishing to enter the trading area, you need to enter the trading area or participate in trading, let's say, once it is at a safer, risk-averse type price level, which is above the 1.0920 area at least by 10 pips. So let's say we take an example of 1.0920 plus 10, you get 1.0930 area. Okay, 1.09. Oops, sorry about that. 1.0930. Now this is all well and good when we've done this tweaking based on the psychological level, but the problem here is that we're looking into a 5-minute chart, and it is quite it's not that attractive anymore in terms of participating in this trade based on these numbers here. It's only that you've got about 10 pips right there, let's say. Okay, but this is based on the 5-minute chart. Okay, so as we go on to the 15-minute chart, you could see that we've got that potential there is still marked very clearly. Okay, so we would need to look into whether, as I've mentioned, probability to the downside would actually mean that you've got prices trading under that centroid area going downwards. But always look to your left as well. Are they potential? As prices go down, look left. Are they potential support areas that you would need to look out for? Okay, because prices definitely, yes, it's trading to the downside. It's finding room to jump off from the centroid area and head downwards. But the question is, as it come under do you have threats for it to go up? And that could actually be seen when you look further to the left and look further to the left and look at potential. Scroll and look for potential support, significant support area at where prices are at this moment of time. So you've got some support area here very close around this area here. Let's say got some support taking prices upwards this way, and then as we go on as well, we want to look into it, and we can see that yes, you've got some here as well, and we just want to look at whether you've got hint of very significant support close to the price now. Now here, as prices come downwards, you've got that area that you can actually consider here. For example, you've got the lowest body like that, lowest wick. So then you've got that price encapsulated there. That's your significant support zone, let's say. Okay, and let's look at how well we've drawn that. Now, do we have a lot of concentration of pricing within that zone? Yes. So prices, it looked to me like prices is at a bit of a confusion mode at this moment of time, being trapped a little bit within this zone here, which is between 1.0935 and 1.0900. As you can see, 1.900 is what you need to look out for, because that's highly significant. We've got quite a number of concentrated price. You got that big fall, for example, right on the dot there at 0.900. So it is a significant fall of prices, fall of price or significant resistance at this level here. So we need excuse me, if you're asking, what I would think about Euro USD at this stage, what I would say is that prices are in confusion mode, is trading in a range. As you can see, it's at 3 o'clock all the way here. Some confusion, not really confusion, maybe it's just gathering that energy, waiting for whether or not to push prices up above that zone or under that zone. Okay, as it goes under, let's say, bursts out of this zone and comes under, it may find challenges or support areas at either one of these three lines as well. So let's just mark this one, Euro USD. Okay, oops. Okay, there you go, Euro USD, for example, and that's the confusion zone that prices needs to go out from above or below. Okay, so once it comes out of that, then you've got a better idea on the direction that the prices wish to take you to. Okay, at this stage, it would be quite tough based on the 4-hour chart to make a decision, because it's blurry out there. So you want to make a decision when you are clear, and it's clear in the market, then it's clear for you as well. Okay, so Euro USD on a 4-hour chart, that's what it's looking like at this moment of time. So this is an idea to give you that you would need to first wait to give you that direction. Okay, so GBP USD, we had some positive figures, and the data as well today has taken prices a little bit appreciative to the upside. Let's just see. We've got some support here, the 4-hour chart as well. Okay, we've got support there, daily, 4-hour. We've got hints to the upside. You've got candles above all three lines. You've got the three lines pointing very nicely to the upside as well. So let's just get rid of all these lines that I have, or tools that I have, or objects. So there you go. As I go into the daily chart, you can see that that appreciation is further away from the three lines of the daily chart. What about the weekly chart? Now we've got that weekly chart giving you a different picture. It's not been above all three lines, but it looks like it found a bit of a resistant potential there, potential for resistance. And as we go into the monthly, let's say you've got that. So it's not really matching between the weekly and the monthly, but the daily, the 4-hour, okay, as well as 1 hour is giving you that hint to the upside, but a little bit of a confusion type mode at this moment. It's not broken out of that confusion on the 1-hour chart at this stage. Okay, so as we go into the 5-minute chart, you can see that that's a support found in that area there on the 5-minute chart, and on the 15 minutes chart, we've got that we've got the candles peeping through, but not fully as yet. Okay, and as we go on to the 1 hour chart, it is still marinating in between the three lines. So you could say that at 15, 30 and 1 hour, it may look like it's just a waiting time to peak out to the upside, but we would need to wait because there's just no guarantee that it will just do that burst upwards. So we would need to first marinate all these elements or factors that it has on fundamentals or anything else to push prices upwards, and once it does, then you've got a better or a clearer picture of a pattern that may actually arise. At this stage is perhaps a little bit too early to look into it at this stage. Just we want to respect price movement as well, so we want to respect prices to marinate further into the movements of candles and all that before we look into it deeper. Okay, so that's your GBP USD. I just want to move into a couple of others to see whether we've got some hints, opportunities. If you guys have got any questions on a pair or any pair that you would like to look at, we can always take a look now, and we can then give you more room to ask more questions. Just before we go on to your pair, the pair that you would like to look at, let's just look into gold at this stage and see what exactly is happening with gold. Now, gold has found lots of resistance there, pushed prices down quite a bit. Now it has actually gone under all three lines on the daily chart. Let's go on to the 4 hour chart, and we can see that the same thing had occurred, and then as we go on to the 1 hour chart, we could see that being quite strong with candles, dominated by bearish strong candles going downwards. I think we've got some questions going on here. GBP AUD, yes, of course. Give me a second. We shall go on to GBP AUD and look into it. And just before that, Sashi will look into gold a little bit, okay? And then we can go to GBP AUD. So let's just go on to this one here. Let me just clear off a couple of things here on gold. So we start afresh with a clear chart, okay? Here. Now we've got that movement downwards like this, yeah? So when you're spotting patterns, let's say, you just need to make a bit of a visualization in your mind's eye on that drop here, make it simple, and then a correction there, and then a possible drop. So this could potentially be your C, that could be your A, and then you've got a B, okay? And then potentially you've got a D, oops, sorry, you've got a D here as well, okay? So that's potentially there. So this is what you would make in your mind's eye of a potential. Then we go further into looking at whether or not you've got a higher probability ABCD. That gets measured by the C point. Now that C point very nicely has gone and found resistance at this 200 moving average, which is a very good sign. Okay, so let's just tidy this up a little bit in terms of the drawings. Okay, so we've got that all the way down there, let's say, yeah. Now let's just make sure that this C point is at a minimum of 38.2. Now the problem is it's not. It's only because we've pulled it from quite high on the peak area here. Okay, what if we move lower? What if we move that to this point here? Is it a minimum? Not yet. Let's look into this peak now. Is it a minimum? Yes, it is. Okay, so that minimum would be considerably a better ABCD to actually pull it from this point here instead of the one higher earlier on. Okay, so you've got it right there, right? So that was probably a potential ABCD that you could have traded earlier. Okay, that one there, right? And taken that exit around that area there. Of course, you want to, incorporate principles of psychological numbers to measure your risk, lower your risk, and heighten your probability. So let's just do that now as we go on this way. You can always do that as well, okay? And look at that's a D, but that would probably be not as high a probability compared to when the C point reaches or touches a minimum of 38.2%. Okay, so at this stage, some things may have already happened earlier on, but it's not giving me that pattern, what do you call that, with high probability or an opportunity using pattern at this stage, not just yet. Okay, because one has actually passed already. So 4 hour, we've got it that way. Let's look into this one here. I'm just going to do something here just to look at how far this has actually gone beyond 61%, beyond 50%. Okay. So if it had not gone beyond 50%, there may be a potential Z-like pattern, but it's not just looking that great in terms of patterns at this stage. Okay, so not yet. So what about the daily chart here itself? So here I'm not looking at a very good hint via patterns at this stage, because we may be witnessing the completion of a W pattern here. Okay, so that W may have gone really nicely. So I'll just show you what I mean. Now if we pull this one all the way up here, that is a minimum 50%, that's okay. Now that's where we've projected earlier on, but it failed at that point there. So this could potentially be whether or not it's a correction at this stage. It could easily be a wave as well. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then you've got potentially a correction again, and then going to the upside. So at this stage it's a little bit too early, and if at all I consider this as the W-like pattern, which could potentially still happen, then we're looking at a correction of gold at this moment of time. But as I've mentioned many times before, the movement of gold is highly dependent on what goes on in the States and the strength or not of the US dollar itself. So this is where you want to monitor dollar instead of monitoring gold, because gold is a zero yield product, okay, zero yield. So it does actually depend a lot, pegged in some way, with the dollar. So it's dollar and the dollar index that you would need to look into. You need to look into dollar index that measures the strength of the US dollar to up to six currencies. So that would give you a bit of an idea there. Now that is on the dollar side of things. You would need to know or get a bit of a hint on what's going on fundamentally, Trumponomics, geopolitics as well. So there's a lot of mixture of things that is now impacting the movement and the trend of the dollar. Okay, and you've got geopolitics as well. You've got the States poking its nose in various other countries. How does that impact it? We've got some big news about the credit crisis in China as well. So hence the reason you're looking into Australia's. Australia is a very big trading partner of China, so you could see that the dollar is also doing the same, plunging almost in the same sort of momentum with the Chinese yuan as well. So this is basically what's going on. So you've got a credit crisis going on. You've got some talks about positivity of the New Zealand dollar. So New Zealand dollar is going in total opposite direction of the Australian dollar. So that's driven by positive economic data, by housing as well. So there's a couple of things that you want to look into to the upside for the New Zealand dollar. But you need to know in comparison with which currency does it actually move the best. Hence the reason you want to look at the top 10 as well, which is highly crucial, especially when you're picking your pair in the morning. Okay, so here itself, I would say that I would like prices for gold to marinate further or move further to the downside, as I don't really see a very clear pattern for me that's high probability, low risk at this stage. So I would rather leave it to do that, but I need to also monitor the strength of the dollar at the same time. Okay, all right, so that's gold for you guys. So that was GBP AUD Sashi that would like to look into. That's not a problem. We shall look into that right away. Okay, so let's just do that. So it's GBP AUD, if I've got that right. So, and there we go. So let's look into this. Okay, so here at a glance, it's just giving you a very nice hint to the upside. Now, very quickly, as you see this happening, you could see that, oh yes, potential A here, B here, C here maybe, and then D to the upside. That could be projected quite well. So as we go into the 1 hour chart, that actually still is the case in terms of its angle, in terms of the three lines, the three exponential moving averages. Yes, the answer to that is it's giving you a very nice hint to the upside in terms of trend in the GBP AUD. Sure. Mr. Tirumaran, you want to look into, yes, the CAD, of course, yes, the USD CAD and the GBP JPY, yes, of course, that's not really a problem. You can look at these two as well, okay, not a problem. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Tiru. Okay, so USD CAD, just remind me later on if I forget. I just don't have a pen with me now to jot them down. I don't know where the pen went, yeah, just remind me that. Yeah, so it's USD CAD and GBP JPY, no problem. Okay, let's look into this one here first. GBP AUD, it is looking like it's giving you hints to the upside. Okay, now I want you to look at this very nicely. Okay, very quickly and very carefully. Is look at this area here, bounce off here very nicely, and then this area here, this is on a 1 hour chart, so that can be considered as a potential C right there. As you take that one up here, that peak could be a potential B. Now you're looking at a potential A right there, so you may have a little bit more room to the upside. So we are projecting the D at some point, yeah? So that's your GBP AUD. So you would need to also look into the play of trend at this moment of time as well, just to confirm what has actually been showed. Okay, let me just clear that one off. Onto the strength meter right there. Let's see. You've got the GBP, for example, is amongst the strongest one. Okay, amongst the three strong side of it. We've got it there as well as picking up on its strength there. So it is giving you a bit of a hint to the upside on the GBP. AUD, it's marked all across as well, even on the top 10, giving you hint to the downside. So okay, you've got that trend thing going on. Now GBP here is looking like it's positive as well, and then as you can see, this top 10 itself, the thing about it though, GBP AUD, it's not really a bad pair to have chosen it. But the thing is, the question to ask always is, when you pick a pair, you need to also ask whether or not the investors are paying attention to this pair. Now, as you can see, GBP, not only that GBP AUD is not in the list, but GBP itself as a currency is not really the attention that is given to by investors. You see the GBP itself on this whole list is not really the attention. The CAD, the euro is an attention. AUD is an attention. Okay. Then you've got, because you've got various currencies that appear more than once, but if you more than one, more than three times, the more the better. And you see a lot of concentration on AUD and then euro and CADs and all that. Yeah. But you don't actually really see that big concentration on the GBP, but you've got that too right there, which is okay. It's not too bad. Okay, you've got GBP AUD right there as well. So let's look into this again. Now, if you've got that potential A here, B here, C here, D, only because we're looking into the potential trend side of things, you could see that very nicely again on the 4 hour chart. Okay, you could take that A here, B here, C, and then upwards. And as you go into the daily chart, it is again giving you that nice hint to the upside, strongish candle as well. When you've got strong bullish candle, longer the candle on the longer time frame, it's always a very good sign. That means you've got a pickup, the enough momentum driven by big investors, because the big investors don't look at short time frames. They look at the daily, weekly, the monthly. Okay, so this is their zone. The daily, the weekly, the monthly are the big investors zone. Okay, so if you're looking at big candles moving already quite a lot in bigger time frame, that means these are possibly driven by the big boys. So you are riding along the trend that they themselves have created, which is a very good sign. Okay, so GBP AUD, let's look at price action. 1.7455. 7455 is just too close to the 50 psychological level, so you would need prices to appreciate further and go beyond the 60 and above. Then it gives you more chances. Now, as you look to the right, okay, we are looking at the daily chart, doesn't matter, but whenever you're looking into the chart, no matter whatever time frame, look to the right, look to the left, exactly like you would be crossing the road. Before you cross the road, you look to the right, to the left. To the right, you're looking at psychological level. Whether the price now, is it close to the psychological level? Okay, that is number one question. Number two, look to your left. As you look to the left, as prices are going to the upside, does it have a threat or an obstacle posed by a movement to the left? That means, has there been a significant resistance close to where the prices are? You've got one right there, for example. Let's go back to the 4-hour chart. Let's look at whether we could see any potential resistance type. Now, resistance not too significant at this stage. Okay. A peak, I don't find a nice peak of falling prices at this moment in time. On the 4-hour chart, let's just make sure. I don't see that coming through really nicely in terms of anything that would, prevent it. But on the daily chart, you do have that area to watch out for, okay? Or even that area right there, but that's more significant. So you have that area right there, okay? Okay, which then automatically marked off this area as well as resistance, and then you've got that support area there as well. So on a daily chart, yes, watch out for the 78, 77, 33 to 78. So it's between 78, 77, 20 area to 78, 00 area. Okay, it's quite a significant area to look into. You've got some fall there. It's on the way up right there. Okay, so let's look into patterns now. You see there's a potential right there. Okay, let's say you're taking that bit there, A, B, C, based on a 4-hour chart, right? Just simply draw that one there. Okay, and draw that one there. So you've got a bit of a zone going on right there. So you've got a potential looking into 1.7566 as a potential aim. So you've got a significant sort of movement. It has bounced off from a very nice zone, meaning at the one of the exponential moving average. What you want to know is whether or not you've got enough strength and momentum. You can always use the average movement index, okay, ADX, and you add the 25 number right there and simply do that. And all you want to do is to look at whether or not current prices are above that 25 level. See that 25 level? You see the blue line? You have to pay attention to the blue line. So as long as the blue line is above the 25 level, it is then showing you the current trend to be strong. And that current trend is an uptrend. That is a strong uptrend. If the current trend is a downtrend, that means a strong downtrend. If the blue line is above the number 25. So this is an ADX. It gives you the strength of the trend. Okay, the strength of the trend. Okay, so there you go. So you've got a potential right there, Sashi, on the GBP AUD as well. Okay, so this one here gives you an idea, maybe a potential. Okay, but you want to look at price. Price is at 74.60, which is not too bad because it's gone above the 50 level. Okay, if you want to appear more conservative, then you want to wait for it to go at 75.90, which is 74.80 and above. Okay, because 74.80 is a psychological level. And then you want to look into the 75.66 area. If I were you, I would look into the 75.40 area because the 75.50 may be your psychological level. So if you've got a 75.40 as a potential reversal area for you to exit, okay, because a reversal area you want to look into potential exit zone as well. That's what a reversal area is, okay, but then this is always based on the principles of psychological number price action as well. You need to tweak all these ingredients into your trade plan before you just pick and choose where you would like to exit or entry. Okay, that needs to be a personal choice as well, and needs to be calculated, well measured based on your risk, knowledge of your risk as well, in terms of price, in terms of levels, and many others. Okay, so you've got that going on there for you, GBP AUD. All you need to do then as well is to look into whether there are possible smaller patterns and smaller time frames as well, and then you can spot these patterns and look into your opportunity to ride along that trend. Okay, hope that's clear on the GBP AUD. Let's just move on GBP JPY first before we move on to the USD CAD. Okay, so we'll go on to the GBP JPY and let's look into what's going on with the GBP JPY. So we'll start off with the 1 hour chart, and you have got that movement there. Okay. All right, where to get the ADX? Yes, of course. I'll just show you where the ADX I've taken that from. All you need to do is click onto the insert indicators. It should come under the trend indicators. Okay, under the category of trend, you should see average directional movement index. So there's no need to change the parameters. Just leave it at the period 14. All you need to do is go onto the levels and click add and type the number 25 under levels. Okay, and then click OK. Right, and all you need to do is to look into the blue line like this one here, that blue line for example. Now this is an indicator to tell you how strong that current trend that you are looking at. So you need to look at the trend correctly first. So the trend at this stage here, for example, above all the lines pointing upwards, so that's clearly an uptrend. So what this ADX is trying to tell you is that if you've got the blue line above number 25, then the current trend that you're looking at is quite strong. Now, the higher and the higher it is above the 25 level, that blue line, the stronger the trend that you're looking at is. Okay? All right, hope that's clear. All right, there you go. So this one here, GBP JPY, is not bad. It's gone, as you have seen earlier on the ADX, the trend, the uptrend is fairly strong. It's just gone above the 25, as I've shown you earlier on, which is a good indicator, only an indicator, okay, to show you that it's to the upside. So this is what's going on for the GBP JPY at this stage. As you can see, that angle is fairly okay. All right, let's look into the 4-hour chart. Does that actually got any better? Yes, the answer to that is the 4-hour chart is steeper in the angle, and it's showing you a good chance to the upside. Let's look to the right, to the left. Okay, so to the right, based on the price now, it's trading at 145.65. Okay, not too bad. It's above the 50 already, so it's giving you that hint to the upside. Let's clear off all these first. All right, now as we go on to it clearer, you can see that it's still making its decision on the 4-hour chart. But as we go on to the daily to look at the trend, it's just being dominated by bullish candles. Okay, you look to the right, you look at the it's gone past the 50 cycle number, not too bad. Let's look to the left and look at price now. Has it got some obstacle, or has it actually fallen in the past, found resistance, significantly fallen? Now you have got some areas there to watch out for. You've got this peak area here, you've got these ones here as well. So I could always mark this area here with the highest body and highest there. You can always mark this one here as well. Okay, this one here is based on the 4-hour chart, so you've got that there marked on the highest body right there, and also the highest wick. Now you've got that zone, and prices is sort of trapped in within that zone at this moment of time. Okay, so you've got 145.90, so I would say that 146 area is to watch out for, psychological level, as well as the 145.20 area to watch out for as well. So it's a little wide area, but it's an area that may give you a clearer picture if at all it has actually gone above or under. Okay, so I'll just mark that zone for you so you get a bit of an idea. So here you've got a bit of a trapped in price at this moment of time between 146 to 145, 146.33 to 145.20, let's say. Okay, it's a quite wide, significantly wide, okay, area or zone, but it's a good zone to be aware of, because you can see how prices have respected that zone and fallen. You've got a couple of support area there as well. You've got a significant support here, pushed prices right back up, cleared through all three moving averages and then went all the way down. And you've also got some very powerful bullish longish candle has actually pierced through very nicely that zone as well. So that is a good indication that you have drawn that line, these zones, correctly. So here you've got that longish candle there, you've got resistance support. Let's look into, you've got significant support resistance as well. This one here, for example, at this zone, you've got prices just touched all the way, but then brought prices all the way up. So this has been a very, very significant rise of price, okay, from this area here, okay, from this area, from this area here. So this area on in 2013, sometime in April 2013, you've got an appreciation of price that has actually brought price all the way up to the 195 area, okay, and it took about 2 years or so for that appreciation of price. That was a very clear, consistent rise of price from that point there. So that point, which is at 146.33 or even 146.20, is a very significant support area that you need to pay a lot of attention to for the GBP JPY. Now it doesn't really matter now whether it's a daily chart or the short term, but as you see prices appreciating, and if it does have that momentum of appreciation and has gone through that zone and gone above 146.20, then you will need to pay a lot of attention at that price, okay? So 146.20 is a significant support area that has actually brought prices up at that price at one point in 2013 and has made GBP JPY risen for almost 2 years, okay, at that price of 146.20. So be very careful, and it does actually look like you've got that momentum building up, but does it actually does it stay? Does that momentum stay? Does it have enough theme, enough factors to actually push prices up? You need to monitor various areas. The price, number one, of course, as well as factors in fundamentals and news to actually push that up. Okay, who knows? It find resistance instead here, but then would it then copy that movement all the way up? Only price can tell, and only after it has pierced through that zone. Okay, all right, we've got a question here. No problem, Sashi. Just shoot away your questions. Don't worry about it. We've got the, you're clear now, yeah, with the ADX? No. For the ADX, it doesn't go the other way. ADX is just a strength indicator. You need to know what the current trend is. If the current trend of what you're looking at is on the upside, that means if the ADX is above number 25, that means the uptrend is strong. It can actually go on again. Okay, if you're looking at it and it's a downtrend and the ADX is above 25 as well, that means your downtrend is strong. Yeah, it doesn't go under, it doesn't go the opposite direction. All you need to know is 25 and above marks the trend as strong, and the further away it is above, the further away the line is from the 25 point, further up, the stronger the trend is. But the trend that you are looking at, okay, no, the ADX value does not change. This is just an indicator, so no, it's just a trend indicator. Yeah, just a strength trend indicator. Yeah, it's a strength of the trend. So it's not sensitive on other areas. It's just to give you that idea whether or not you've got more room. But because you're trading pattern as well, and then you're looking to the right, to the left, all these can actually be mixed up as an ingredient to tell you that yes, it's got more possibility or probability to move up or not and stuff like that. Because you need to mix all these ingredients up, then you get a better dish of the trade. Of the trend and the trend. Okay, all right, good. Okay, so we've covered a little bit on the GBP JPY. It's probably a little bit of monitoring to be done on GBP JPY in terms of the areas I've mentioned about. Okay, so let's move on at this moment of time. If you guys have got no questions, Mr. Thiru, on the GBP JPY, if you do, just let me know, no problem. I'll just swiftly move on to the USD CAD if you don't mind. Yes, of course, we can look into the CHF JPY as well. Just remind me. We've got another question here. There will also be a probability that the candle go down to in what risk? We're talking about GBP JPY. Is that Mr. Liu? For Liu Yung Lim. Here, this one here, for example, probability of going down. Yes, there is a probability of going down here, GBP JPY, but again, you want to look at price. 145.64 has gone above 50 already, so it's giving you that hint to the upside. Okay, but you want to also look to the left and see whether or not you got some significant fall. I couldn't see a significant fall at this stage. I only see support and things like that. I don't see any significant falling of price in the past. I've got one here, then you are right. Okay, if you said that earlier on that it could possibly fall too, you are right now after we made this confirmation by looking to the left. So here, for example, it has been a significant fall, so yes, that could potentially happen too. But try to focus on this zone. Okay, what that means is anything under this zone, prices come under this zone, that means under 145.20 and below, it gives you a bearish sort of movement, momentum and sentiment to the downside. It goes above this one, 146 and 20 and above and above and above, then it's got more momentum to the upside. Okay, so as it goes above, if it does actually go above and gone above 146.20 and also gone above this zone here, then you've got a very high probability of prices mirroring that very big move in 2013 for GBP JPY. Okay, all right, so let's just clear this one off and erase all drawing here and look into that. Okay, let's look at USD CAD, but before that we've got, yes, we'll look into the GBP NZD as well. Very nicely, you are absolutely right. We'll look into GBP NZD, not a problem. So we'll look into USD CAD, CHF JPY, and GBP NZD. But just remind me of these pairs. I don't have my pen as I mentioned, so I couldn't write them down. So let's look into USD CAD first. Okay, so USD CAD, right? Let's look at what's going on with USD CAD. Okay, we've got a couple of things here. I think this was previously drawn, but it's looking like it's a bit of a mess here. So I'm just going to adjust that a little bit. I think this is not properly drawn. Let's just adjust all this one here. This could potentially work right there. Okay. All right, so I'm just tidying up previously drawn pattern. I'm not sure what went wrong, so it didn't look quite right. So I'm just repairing the, giving it a bit of a facelift. Okay, so here you go. All right, there we go. Now we've got a very nice, I think the outcome was fantastic with the USD CAD on the ABCD pattern. Let's look at what happened here. Now let's just look into the yellow ABCD pattern. I think it went really well. It did actually touch that end there, but now I think let's get rid of that yellow one so we don't get confused, and get rid of that one there, and we have moved on from that yellow one to a potential red one there, and that red one I think has reached its target really nicely right there as well. So you've got an A here, B here, C, D, you've got a centroid being there, so your trading area would be above the 3880 area, which is 3590 and above, and looking at your potential reversal zone to be under the 3750 area. So that potentially gave quite a number of pips. I think 150 plus odd pips on that one there, taking to the upside. So let's look at what's going on as of now on the USD CAD. Okay, so I'm just going to get rid of all these lines and we'll start afresh so we get a bit of an idea of the trend first. Like as usual, we'll look into this one here, and let's look into, at a glance, it's definitely looking like an upside. Okay, the favor, the trend is favoring the upside sort of move. We've got appreciation of price, finding support. As you can see, quite a number of touch point support at either one of the moving averages, a very good sign of that. Do we see a sort of uplift of the slopiness? The slope itself, the steepness of the slope, and the answer to that is yes. So it is looking like it's favoring the upside there. Okay, this is a good sign. Now, what I could see at a glance is a potential Z-like pattern, which is a bullish Z-like pattern. Now I'll just draw. Oh, it's not the right color. Let's just choose the color pen. There you go. So I could see a potential right there to the upside, and then it could form a down here. Okay, so it would come to a downside and then make a reversal upwards. So that could be my A right here, B right here, and C. The question is, how far could the C point go at this stage? So how we do that is with a Z-like pattern, we could easily use Fibonacci to give us a bit of an estimate of where roughly prices would want to find resistance at which area or level. So that could easily be done by, let me just show you a little bit here. We could easily pull the Fibonacci from the very top here, okay, all the way down, and you could pick the maximum of 2.24 or even 2.61. Now here, the maximum of 2.24 makes better sense. Okay, makes better sense here. So I'll just mark that. Usually a Z-like pattern, you could find resistance at the very top to sort of retrace or rebound at the ABC point at about 2.24 being your maximum area. Okay, so if I draw that as a potential, let's say A to B like that, pull that down from here, then I could say that if at all it has found resistance, it would then fall to about this area here, which is close to the 135.20 area. Okay, 135.22 area. So, but psychological number would fit it at the 135.20 area. Okay, so here, for example, let's just finish drawing that Z-like potential pattern, because we're still not sure whether or not it would actually just not find resistance and carry on to the upside. Okay, for the USD CAD on a 4-hour chart. So as we go on to this way here and mark that one here. So you've got a bit of a potential there. Okay, let's just look at that one marked off at 2.24. Oh, okay. I'd like to also measure this one here and look at where it has actually landed on the 127.2, which is quite good. So let's carry on with the B to C here because it's just gone off. So you've got A here, B, C, and D. So one way to predict that move downwards towards D is to have AB equal in length of CD. Okay, so that's exactly the ABCD type principles. Okay, and then we mark it there as your potential D. Now the second way of projecting that D point is by pulling your B to C and looking at the 50% area, where it usually finds support upon completion of the Z point, completion of the D point, sorry, of the Z pattern at the D point. So you've got another potential area here. Okay, so at the 50% there. All right, so this is basically a bit of an outline or a potential framework of what could potentially happen following a Z-like pattern. This is a bullish pattern, which basically means you've got your A to B right there, B to C right there, and we are usually trading a Z pattern based on the C to D. So you've got a Z to C to D expected to have a down sort of fall. Okay, so that's your C, and we are projecting the D. Okay, there. And upon completion of this Z pattern, because it's a bullish pattern, it probably find reversal at this area to the upside once it reaches the D point. Okay, so here I would say that there may be a potential threat to the downside, but we need to look out and watch out for a potential reason for it, a catalyst. Okay, something might come in, something might be announced on TV. Maybe we are awaiting a economic data release, so we would need to be careful. So the pattern would then give you an early warning sort of signal, okay, to identify that there may be, it's not certain, but there may be a potential, if at all it's following a Z-like framework, it might find resistance very close to the level that it's trading now. Now, as we look to the right, you've got 137.23, so that is really close to the 137.20 psychological number. So in order for us to get a better idea of that fall in price, we would need to first wait for a catalyst, look at the price, whether or not prices would go under the 3720 and below. If it does, and then you've got a catalyst coming in, an event, something that would actually depreciate USD versus CAD much more, then you look at it going under 3720 and you find bearish candles, then you've got that reversal at C to be sort of confirmed. Okay, so that's your ABCD pattern right there. It looks like a potential one, but let's just do a little bit of looking at the other time frames for the USD CAD as well. Yes, NFP is tomorrow, right? Yes, okay. That could be it. You are right. That could actually be it. You see, like me, I'm not a news trader. I don't really rely on that on news, but I do actually be aware of how strong the news would then be triggered to push prices further towards your D area. That's what I'm concerned about. Okay, so this could be a potential. Now, this may be an early warning sign telling you that there may be a potential of a bearishness coming through for the USD. Also means that it may be a potential bearish sort of result for the NFP as well. We don't know that. So what we need to do though is to look into USD as a whole. Maybe USD CAD may be different from the other pairs. Maybe USD versus the other pairs are subject to, how you call that, strength, but USD CAD is not. So, but we would need to wait and see. So hence the reason it's probably best for us to also look into trend, always confirm the trend side of things as well. Okay, so we go into 1 hour chart, let's say. Okay, let's also look to the left, because we've looked to the right on the psychological level, but we've not looked to the left. Okay, so let's look to the left first and look at whether you could find significant fall or significant rise in the past at this price at 3720 area. Okay, so let's look at that. Now, here we have had some support in the past. Okay, let's look into it. Let's look into that. Okay, we've got some fall of price right there on a daily chart. I just want to look at how clear. We've got that area there, which is between the 3780 area right up to the 3850 area to look out for, as well as your potential resistance zone. Okay, so that's one area to mark off. So there definitely is a resistant area to look out for within that window. But you see how we've got a significant fall of prices based on the daily chart, a big fall, okay, about 2,000 over pips, okay, across from 2004, okay, from 2004 in June to 2004 in November. Okay, so there was a significant fall at where the price is at now. So let's be very careful and mark that zone as well. Okay, let's mark that zone, highest body and highest wick. Okay, so I would like to be very aware of this area between 1.3750 area and 1.3820 area. Okay, so be careful of that area right there. Okay, and it is touching that area now, and you've got that big resistant area there. So this pattern might materialize, but we need prices to confirm that. Okay, we need more room of prices looking at that. So we mark that area really nicely already. This area here. Okay, you need to watch out for that area there. Okay, and I would say trading area, we would need a couple of candles to come through first and look into 1.3720 and below, or below 1.3700 and below to look into a trading area if at all it's looking like to the downside. But another thing to watch out for is that when you see prices in a Z-like pattern between C and D, okay, this is your C and D move. It usually moves like an ABCD format. Okay, so you might find along the way as it comes down, maybe tomorrow's NFP might still push it upwards, and then you would get a potential double top if that does actually happen, and then you will see a significant drop to the downside potentially. Okay, this is based on the patterns itself. So but as of now for USD CAD, potentially best to look at how prices depreciates further. You've got that area there as a very significant resistant area that has actually brought prices down in 2004, 2,000 over pips in a couple of months. Okay, so that's a very significant drop of the USD versus the CAD. So watch out for that first, and then we look at it and trade in stages for that USD CAD. Okay, all right. So next we are looking at CHF JPY and also GBP NZD, I think. Okay, Mr. Thiru, that's good. All right, so let's clear these ones here, and we can only see what happens tomorrow, right, when NFP comes. It'll be nice to see how this materializes on this pattern here, on the Z pattern. It's a bullish Z pattern. Okay, let's go on to GBP NZD. Okay, all right. GBP NZD. Thank you for that, Mr. Thiru. Okay, so AUD. I must say that we have had quite a number of brilliant trades this week, and AUD USD was one of it, and I myself has has benefited from that trade as well. So that's a really good one. We had quite a number of trades. I would say on average, out of 10 patterns, we have had close to about 8. That actually went really well. I would say succeeded with flying colors, of course, because we have all the patterns drawn in colors as well. So that's a very good sign, and I'm always very happy to hear you guys manage to ride along that as well. So that's always good for us to hear. Okay, so GBP NZD it was, I think, Henny, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. So that was GBP NZD. Before that, AUD NZD, you've got a Z-like pattern that already, I think, completed, happened really well. So that C to D, as you can see, this is how a Z-like pattern looks like. You've got that move downwards, up, and then it came down, it bounced upwards as well that way. Okay, so that is the way it is. That Z started from here, A, B, C, D, and then boom, went up there. So it literally found support there. So let's see whether we could find something like that, the USD CAD tomorrow. Okay, now GBP NZD it was, let's just do that very quickly. GBP NZD, it was the GBP NZD, right, that we wanted to look at. Let's see. I hope it's not one of those that I had trouble looking for it on this platform. GBP, JPY, GBP, CHF, and we have got GBP and ZD. I am not able to look at that here. I probably again find it a bit of a issue here with my platform. Only because I'm using, you know, this version here, which I have had all my drawings done, so I didn't want to change that this platform. Let me just check that once more. Just do that. Okay, GBP, it was GBP and ZD, right, Henny? Just to check, just to confirm. GBP CHF, we've got it there. GBP USD, let me think. GBP CHF. Okay, it's very close to the. If not, we will look into a correlated pair. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm not able. I've got GBP CHF here, but not GBP NZD. Let's just see that again. Okay. No worries. If I'm not able to find that, I don't think I am able to find that pair, Henny. We will look into the highly correlated pair of GBP and ZD. So that will give you an idea of how you look at correlated pair. Okay, let's do that. Very quickly, we go on to MATAF, M-A-T-A-F, correlation, yeah. mataf.com, yeah, sorry, mataf.net. So as you go on to Forex correlation, okay, and you just look at this little table here and look for GBP and ZD, click on it and oops, and refresh. Okay, all right, there you go. So then we look into, it's a little slow, the internet, I think, Wi-Fi. Just give me a second. Before that, let's look into the other. It's got GBP, JPY. I've given you that indication of that zone to look out for. GBP and ZD didn't give us much because it's trading in between uncertainty between the lines. Okay, and 1 hour chart. I mean the rest of it, let's say if it's GBP AUD, is just giving you that very strong upward momentum with a nice C point there. So on average, it's giving lots of hint to the upside for the GBP pairs. Okay, let's now check on this MATAF. Is just not moving. All right, for those of you guys who managed to find that and look for GBP and ZD, look at GBP and ZD based on the hourly chart and the 4-hour chart. Look at it, GBP and ZD on the left side, and look at what highest number you can actually find based on GBP and ZD. Okay, highly correlated in terms of, you know, numbers like 90 point something or 80 point something, especially on the 1 hour chart or the 4 hour chart, and look at which one is it correlated highest to. Okay, whether it's a positive number or a negative number. Not sure why, but mine is simply not moving. So I'm trying it again, but if you guys manage to do it at your end, you can always do that. It's a practice for you guys to look into correlated pairs. Okay. There we go. GBP and ZD. It's just not coming out. I'm not sure why. Let's see. All right. If you guys manage to, just let me know what have you guys found to be correlated with the GBP and ZD. It's a practice for you guys, so you guys know how you find highest correlated pair. But again, you know, we're not relying on this 100% because we can always check on that ourselves on the MT4 itself. Okay. Oh, it's funny. I've got the NZD, I've got the rest, but no NZ, no GBP NZD here. Got it on my previous platform, I mean on my desktop platform there. It's just because of the account type here. I do apologize. I'm going to change the trading platform here. It's just I've got so much drawings here that I need to save them. So, okay. I still am not able to find GBP and ZA. Have you guys managed to find Henny? Have you managed to find something on mataf.net on the correlated pair to GBP and ZD? Then we can look into that. Meanwhile, while waiting, we go into CHF-JPY first, and then we go back to the GBP and ZD. Okay, so let's go on to CHF-JPY at a glance on the 1 hour chart. It's looking like it's giving us hints to the upside. Okay, hints to the upside indeed. So you've got loads of hints to the upside on the 1 hour chart. As we zoom in, we've got strength to the upside there. It's found support very close to all these lines that we have. On the 4 hour chart, it's still driven to the upside. It's looking quite steep as well on that one there in terms of its angle, and you've got prices just peeping out of the 3 lines as well on the daily chart. So in general, we're looking into the upside type movement on for CHF JPY. Let's look into 1 hour chart. And we look to the right first, and we notice that if it's at 113.65 above 50, so it's giving you hint that it's gone above the 50 side number. It may be finding correction at this moment of time. So we want to look at whether or not that correction will be found at either one of these lines, and if it does, then you've got a potential ABCD pattern to the upside as well. Okay, so that's for CHF JPY. Now correlation. Okay, brilliant. All right, so okay, Mr. Thiru, that's nice. So it's GBP and ZD we're looking at. So you're saying that it's correlated very highly with AUD USD and Euro AUD. Is that correct? Negatively correlated to AUD USD. How much negatively correlated? What percentage would it be? On which time frame would that be? If you say AUD USD highly correlated. Okay, 77.4% Euro AUD, brilliant. Have you got any higher number at all if it is negative also? Is that the highest number you could see? On which time frame would that be? Perhaps you want to try 4 hour and daily as well. See whether you've got higher percentages on that. Okay, meanwhile, while waiting for the guys, we will look into this one here, CHF JPY again. 4 hour daily as mentioned is giving you that nice movement to the upside, trend wise to the upside. Let's go back to lower time frame. Okay, lower time frame. It's gone into sort of uncertainty type zone on the 5 minute chart, and let's look into the 15 minute chart, sort of finding a bit of a, let's see whether it finds that support at either one of these lines here as well. Okay, for CHF JPY, I'm not really seeing a very sort of clear tight pattern at this moment of time. Okay, it's just finding that it's now awaiting support for the CHF JPY, and whether or not it finds support at either one of these line, and how nice would it find that, that would then carve out a nice ABCD pattern potentially for you. So at this stage, a little bit too early to look into these patterns. So then we shall go back and looking at 90.2% at AUD JPY negative. Okay, brilliant. So what does that mean? That means that AUD JPY would be moving opposite of the GBP NZD. Okay, 90.2, which is fairly high, you know, really high. So let's look at AUD JPY then. Okay, so AUD JPY, I've got it here. So let's look at AUD JPY. Okay, brilliant. Now it looks to me AUD JPY on the 1 hour chart, it's just in within that zone. Now that zone, I think I previously marked that zone due to a significant move, if I'm not mistaken. So let's just look at why I've marked that area there. We've got a significant support area there. So potentially it might find support. If AUD JPY potentially could find support, then GBP NZD could potentially find resistance. Okay, so that should actually mirror. You guys can put both charts together and look at that on how negatively correlated the two pair between GBP/NZD and AUD/JPY are. Okay, so you've got some support. Let's just do that. That zone that I'm marking it now has got significant support, ample of support, some more support, and support, significant support. Okay, so we need to look into this area carefully that has been marked basically. So look at the price there. I shall get rid of these lines first and do it afresh again based on AUD/JPY. Okay, we're really looking into GBP/NZD, but because it's highly negatively correlated, we'll get a bit of an idea. You can always do that on the opposite side and look into whether you've got resistance as well on your chart on GBP/NZD. So here, for example, we've got this area here, and we can always use the lowest body and this lowest wick right there to actually draw your support resistance sort of zone. So prices at this moment of time is sort of trapped. Okay, it's still trading in between that zone, which is between 83.37 and 83.14. So you could safely say 83.20 area. So the 83.20. So it would need to still be above that zone or under that zone to give you that direction, that clarity of direction that prices itself are willing to take. Okay, so that zone there is marked at 83.37 and 83.15. So these are the two zones that's been marked based on the significant support area, but a very significant support area. As we pull or go back, you can see that it has been pierced through by really powerful bearish candle as well as bullish candle in the past. Found a lot of thinking area and concentrated in that area as well. And then you've got various support area here as well. And as we pull back, you've got some more and some more resistance and some more resistance and some more longish candle going through. So that is a mark of the line drawn correctly. A very, very nice support area here that has taken prices from this angle here, let's say, this point here, all the way up to about 700 over pips. Okay, that was back in 2015. Okay, and period of time, of course, but the price has actually gone up, and you could find that there are various movement as such to the upside at this price. So we have done that already, where we zone it up, and that is the zone that price is being a little confused about and trading in between these lines which made up that zone. And that zone, it's looking like a more significant support type zone, but you would need prices to tell you of the direction it wishes to take. So only if it pierces through above that zone that it would give you a better indication that it would prefer an upside type movement. If not, then you're looking at to the downside. Now, if it does actually pierce through to the upside, you've got a challenge of the 200 moving average. You've got the challenge of these lines. But if it does actually move to the downside, you don't actually find as much of a challenge of it. You would need to then go across under all these support area first, and you will see a better movement to the downside. But again, if it does actually break out here, watch out for potential movement going back to the zone, and then only then to the downside. Okay, so you need to be very careful with that. Okay, now the other thing that I can't help but notice is a potential Z-like pattern that you can actually see here, perhaps, where you could see it going like this. Okay, so this movement downwards could easily be a 50% type movement. So let's see Fibonacci movement. So let's look at whether that could be a possibility of predicting or forecasting that fall. So if we go all the way upwards, you can see that 50 is just here. Okay, so again, there is a likelihood of prices, even though piercing through, giving you a bit of a false break, because this is a bullish type Z pattern, and then coming back up. But as it goes back up, it might actually go and hit the 200 moving average or one of the moving averages and then back down again. It all depends on the strength of the trend. Okay? All right. Hope that actually covers. But again, for Henny, I think this AUDJPY, because it's negatively correlated, you might be looking at a potential opposite type potential movement. So this one here, it's got a zone. You can always do that similar type zone, which is a resistant type zone potentially, based on your GBP NZD, and you can then try and send me these, the screenshots of it as well from the analysis that you've done, and send it to us to share on the Telegram if you don't mind, and then I'll give you my feedback on that. Okay. Brilliant. So we've covered a bit. There were a couple of I think awaiting or pending type opportunities. So we just want to await the price and let price give us a better indication of the direction it wishes to take. Okay. All right. Here you go. So perhaps I get another pair if you guys want to. We're quite away of time at the moment, but. Yeah, if you guys have got any questions at all, we can always cover it very quickly and meet you guys again next week on Monday. Any questions? You guys are clear? All good? All right. This may not actually be a, I would say, a very high probability pattern unless I take it from this end here. Yeah, it's not looking that convincing as a Z-like pattern for me. So let's just do that. No, I changed my mind. It is actually a probability, a high, I would say a fairly high Z-like pattern. So let's just quickly draw that before we make further assumptions on it. That is why it's always, visually it may not be as clear and accurate as measuring it. And I measure it with Fibonacci. Okay. So you've got a pattern looking like this on the AUDJPY. So you should be looking at a pattern on the GBP NZD looking like this, which is a bearish type pattern on your GBP NZD. Okay, so you should be looking at this type pattern where you got your A here, B here, C here, right, and then D. This is for GBP NZD. This is a bullish type pattern, which means it may find a bit of support around this area and then potential upward. Okay, there you go, AUDJPY, which is a potential upside move and a potential downside move for the GBP NZD. Okay, and this is for the 4-hour chart, by the way. All right. Okay, guys, I think I'll just wrap it up here. No questions coming through. So, okay, if you guys have got any questions at all, feel free. Email me at academy@blackwellglobal.com. Be happy to help. And also feel free to share and ask questions on our Telegram group as well. Okay, guys. All right, let's see. Any questions? No problem. My pleasure, guys. My pleasure, Sathiru. My pleasure. And wish you guys happy pipping again. Let's back up some more pips. Okay, no problems. Pleasure's mine. So have a good evening, guys. Thank you very much for joining me today, and we'll see you again Monday next week, and we shall be in touch. Keep in touch on Telegram. Take care, guys. Bye-bye.